Fabulous. Hello, fellow fools, and welcome to the Foolish Friends podcast. I am your host, BREN BIGELOW. I use they, them pronouns, and I am joined today with my fabulous friend, ALANNA. ALANNA, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm ALANNA, also they, them, host of No Podcast, invite occasional.
You're so often. I feel like you're definitely seasoned. You're a seasoned podcaster at this point, for sure. So today we're also talking about relocation in astrology, and I'm actually acting as a novice. I don't know a lot about relocation astrology, but ALANNA was telling me about it, and it seemed like just such a great topic to speak on at this point in time. So before we get into that, we're going to pull a card from the Oracle of Pluto deck. This is by Aubrey Houdeshell. Sorry if I mispronounced that. An amazing local artist and reader. And we're just going to pull a card for, what should we pull for today, ALANNA? Just like overall energy or advice?
Yeah, like what do we need to know while we're talking about our topic today? What should we keep top of mind?
Fabulous. And we've got, well, two cards came out.
Ooh.
One came out upright though, so I'm going to take that one. And that is the Eagle card. And I love this deck because it's like shadow puppets. So it is a Pluto deck. So
that's so cool.
It's the shadows, which is really cool. And I like the playful element too of like the hand puppets rather than like Pluto can get really dark. So this is kind of nice and digestible for the shadows. And whenever I think of eagles, I think of seeing things from bird's eye view, being able to like go in and get into the details when necessary, but otherwise staying in the bird's eye view to see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I am really struck by this, honestly. One of my favorite astrology books, and I think I can probably find it really quick. Predictive Astrology, The Eagle and the Lark. She has a story in the intro of this where I can't remember what they were trying to do, but the eagle and the lark have to like essentially like team up in some way. Like I think like the lark is like gonna sing for the angels or something, but can't fly high enough. And the eagle can't do it because they don't have like a nice enough song. So the lark like perches on the eagle's back and the eagle flies the lark high enough. And so she uses this as a metaphor of like what we're doing with astrology, where the eagle is our technical processes and the lark is our like intuitive understanding. And like that's like the science meets the art of astrology. So I love that came up. It's like, oh, you're going to talk about a technical aspect of astrology? Remember your eagle.
Yes, eagle.
That's so cool.
How do you see eagle as different from like a hawk?
Oh yeah. You see it different now?
Yeah, how do you see them differently? What's the difference?
Different from a hawk?
Yeah.
I mean, this one was a lark, to be fair.
No, I know. I'm just This is separate. Okay. Also,
I was like, did you mishear me?
Yeah. No. This is different. Just so the audience knows, we are entering a Mercury Pisces retrograde at the time of recording this. So
yeah.
Just keep that in mind for any technical issues or our verbiage that might be
mishearing.
But no, just for my curiosity, like out of nowhere, I just wanted to ask you, what is the difference between an eagle and a
hawk? I mean, I think I might be too much of a novice like bird person to know the difference. In my mind, like an eagle is larger. And they're probably just like different families of birds. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that there's a red-tailed hawk that lives near my house, and I'm a little bit obsessed with him.
Oh, I love that. Well, and speaking of Pluto, obsession.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And I do have a couple just like key words from the booklet that I just wanted to share really quick since it's here. The meaning of eagle is like the spiritual messenger. protection and the bigger picture. So
Mm.
yeah. And if anyone who's listening wants to hop in the chat or hop in the comments and just tell us the difference between an eagle and a hawk, that would be awesome.
I would love to know, actually.
Yeah. I think we all need to know. So if you know, just pop it in the chat there.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Please.
Yeah.
Cool.
And also, if you don't already know, if this is your first time here, welcome. We chat astrology stuff. And if you are interested in like certain things, but not other things, we do have timestamps on this video. So feel free to scroll and review things as well as we go along. And without further ado, we're going to start with relocation astrology. So I'm going to ask you, Alanna, in a nutshell, what is relocation astrology?
Well, I think a lot of people who are here and like watching a podcast about astrology will probably have already heard of astrocartography.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can pull that up on like astro.com, right? You pop your stuff in there.
And astrocartography, really quick, what is that? For people who may not know.
Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. When you pull up an astrocartography chart, what you'll see is the whole world. You'll see a map of the whole world with lines on it. And that just when I first saw that, I was like, I don't even know what that means. And learning about relocation charts helped me understand like more concretely like what those lines are about. Astrocartography is essentially like mapping out on the Earth all the locations where certain planetary energies will be the most prominent and literal and like physical event based of anywhere in the world in your particular life. You know, the idea is that if you go to these locations where you see these lines on the map, that those planetary energies will be more present for you. And when I first heard about that, I was like, obviously I went to go look at my map. And I noticed that I had moved to a place where, because I grew up on the East Coast and now I live in Seattle. And I found that I had moved really close to both my Jupiter line and my Saturn line. And I had no idea. Truly, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, okay, whatever. And I didn't really question that again until I went to NORWAC last year. And I saw a talk by Jason Hawley called Place and Psyche. And that lecture just so deeply spoke to me because it resonated with, you know, how I think about place, where I think a lot about, you know, belonging myself to the land as opposed to like, you know, we don't own a place. It like we like belong. Can we belong ourselves to where we are? I think as a white person on Turtle Island, I think that's like hopefully a pretty normal thing to be worried about. Is how do I naturalize myself? So like his talk like really spoke to me, because he talked a lot about how that big chart where we just get these lines, right? You know, you could just pull that up and say, okay, well, where do I want to go in the world to get what I want? And what an extractive attitude, you know? So he showed us actually what those lines really mean and showed us how to pull a relocation chart as opposed to the astrocartography map. And, you know, we were talking earlier, we pulled relocation charts for both of us, and I'm excited to like get to our examples. But for me, right, I pulled that relocation chart to Seattle, where I'm here living near my Jupiter and Saturn lines. And I got to see what that means is that Jupiter and Saturn moved to be angular placements for me, where before, like in my original chart, they're in like the 12th and 6th houses. not super prominent, struggling to find them. But I moved close to those lines where they become angular. Is it all tracking, or am I missing something here to fill in some gaps?
That makes perfect sense. And just so people know, NORWAC, if you don't know what that is, it's an astrology conference that takes place in Seattle, where actually me and ALANNA met last year. So that is all I had to say with that, but that tracks. Yeah. So basically, in summary, as someone who's more of a layperson, at least with relocational astrology, I know more about astrocartography. Certain places in the world are going to activate certain of your planets more than other places. That's what the astrocartography shows. What relocation astrology will then show is like in that actual place, what is your birth moment in that location? That's the chart that you will be in when you're there. So that will not change the planets, but it will change your ascendant potentially, or your angles.
Yeah.
So that's the whole house setup. That can change everything. Like you were saying, it changed your Saturn and your Jupiter. So that makes perfect sense. I'm excited to dive into some examples so we can really see what this means firsthand.
Yeah, I think looking at examples really helps it make more sense. I guess I could have pulled up the example of like one of our maps as well, but I have not done that.
Oh, like our astrocartography maps?
Yeah. I think the maps are like a fun kind of shorthand of like, you can see where in the world you would have more angular placements. You know, you with your moon on your ascendant and me with my moon on my ascendant in our natal charts, what that means is that we were born on a moon line. So we would like be able to pull up that astrocartography map and zoom in on where we were born, and we would see the moon line going pretty close by to that. That's what that means. I think that means that every planet has like 4 lines on the map.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how I use astrocartography is I'm excited to learn about relocation, because astrocartography can't really be used without knowing the natal chart as well. But it seems like relocation astrology would just add an additional layer to that understanding of like, okay, well, if you move there, this is how you'd feel about it now where you're here presently, or where you were born. But then when you move, you might feel differently about those planets because they might be in a different house, which then would be a different area of focus. For example, if you were born with, Mars in the first house, you're born on a Mars line, and then you move to a place where Mars then is in your 10th house of career, like Mars in that first house is really about how you're seeing yourself and how you're asserting yourself. But then if it moves into that 10th house of career, maybe you're spending more energy and time into your legacy or community at large, being seen in Martian ways. Maybe you also, work out in a public setting, whereas maybe before you worked out alone because it was your first, Cool. Well, I'd love to see your natal chart to start. Cool. Is that what you have pulled up?
Let's find that really quick.
And just so the people know watching, we did block off our private information for these charts just to preserve some privacy. And yeah, thanks for understanding with that. If you have any questions about it, let us know. It is pretty blurry, at least from my perspective, the screen sharing. Oh, it's kind of clearing up a little bit, but
it was still thinking.
This is our first time doing this, so thank you all our audience for being patient and understanding.
Hey, I have a really good idea. During a Mercury retrograde in Pisces, do you want to like add a whole new level to how we do our recordings together?
Ooh, tell me.
Great ideas. So this is my natal chart. You can see all my secrets now. I guess this means I was also born on a sun line, just maybe not as close by.
Oh yeah.
Because it's up there close to my midheaven. It's like 5 degrees away, so it's not like I'm super close to that line, but
well, and sure that you're born on that line if it on the ascendant, because I'm pretty sure in my astrocartography actually that I'm not on a moon line and I have a moon ascendant.
Maybe we should go ahead and pull up your map and
Cool.
check.
Cool.
I mean, you're not going to be like directly on it.
Yeah, I'm closer, to different lines, but okay, it's okay. I'm more.
It's a pretty big zone, right? Like when I pulled up my map, and you'll see how close Jupiter gets to my ascendant in my relocation chart. I'm still like 50, 60 miles away from that line.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's a pretty big window. I'm sure I'm like even farther away from my moon line, even though I've got 3 degrees here.
I'll pull it up just, you can continue. I'll pull it up just to see if I can figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, so here's mine.
Beautiful chart.
As it began, you know, here in the beginning. Here I was. And this is really, you know, going to stay pretty similar. When I was growing up, I lived in a few different places on the East Coast. And so, you know, I stayed in that time zone. I stayed in a pretty small like band of area, like east-west. So it doesn't change too much, just going north-south. And you'll see that once we like, maybe we'll pull up a map and you'll see that like the lines typically go, like some of them curve, but most of them they run pretty much exclusively north-south. So when you travel north and south, you don't really change much about your chart. So I, for the first like 24, 25 years of my life, lived with this chart. And I very much remember myself as always being a pretty like shy person, like pretty reserved, very nervous to like participate too much. I definitely like felt that like even though my son is like in my 10th house, you know, you'd hope to see a little bit of like outgoing energy. But it was not me at all. I wonder if I can just scoot on over to my relocation chart. Here it is. This window.
Cool. So the biggest thing I'm seeing that's the shift is the rising sign. So instead of being Virgo rising, now is appearing as a Leo rising. Ooh, with Jupiter on the ascendant. Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, on the ascendant. Like, look at that.
Wow.
That's like arc minutes away. That's not even a full degree. And so, like I was saying, I'm still like 50, 60 miles away from that line. The lines are pretty wide on the actual map. So yeah, I didn't, you know, I listened to that lecture at Norwalk and felt really, I think, inspired because of how he was speaking to these like ideals and like philosophies that I had really been diving into in terms of like belonging yourself to a place. Like I really resonated with that talk at Norwalk, but I hadn't like bothered to look up my relocation chart. I was still like, okay, like that was interesting. Moving on. Norwalk was so, you know, overwhelming. Later last summer, I attended North Star, which is like a camp. It's a camp out for astrologers and just people who practice cool magic things. And I got there and I'm bopping around trying to set stuff up. I had kind of volunteered to bring like an extra tent so that we could do like a group. Like I brought like a big canopy pop-up thing. And I like immediately, you know, was like throwing snacks at people that were like just sitting around, like chatting and meeting each other. And somebody looks up at me and they were like, did you bring like all the Jupiter energy? Like, are you just Jupiter? And I was like, thanks. You know, I appreciate that. Definitely felt like a big compliment. But I think it was after that I was like, wait, I live on my Jupiter line. What what was Jason Hawley talking about at Norwalk? Let me
Right.
go back to this. So, you know, I then actually cast this chart. You know, it's same moment as my birth moment. It just has a different location. And here it is, Jupiter right here on my ascendant being really loud.
Well, and that's so Leo, you know, very expressive.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, your hair is definitely very Leo beauty-esque. Like, did your hair improve when you moved to Seattle?
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. My hair was not this cute when I lived on the East Coast.
I
It's
love
not
that.
like this. Yeah, since I moved here, like my curly routine has improved. The like boldness of haircut has improved. Like I was like, for years of my life, I was that person that just had just long hair, all the same length, like all the way to like my waist. And I was hiding behind that. Though I guess that is very Virgo hair.
Well, and you still had that Leo in your 12th house. Like that 12th house, I feel like people forget that that is influencing us all the time still. It's just in the background, you know,
Yeah.
it's something we can't see very clearly, especially in youth or if we don't look into things. So you were so young back then that you probably did. I don't know. This is my argument that I'll always make about Virgo risings, especially with someone with a big placement like you in that 12th house or Leo, is that risings really do actually want to be seen. They just don't feel like they can have permission to do it, or
Yeah.
it's not allowed or something.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel like this is now okay. You have permission to actually show up as you authentically are
Yeah.
with that Leo rising. And you do have a lot of 12th house placements still in this relocated chart.
Oh, I have way more 12th house placements now.
Yeah. And how
But
did
it's
that?
interesting. It's really interesting for you to word it like that because I'm just now connecting that like I have given credit to just the city of Seattle, right? Of like ever since I moved here, I have been learning how to be myself. I've like had permission to lean in and find out about myself. And yeah, I've been giving Seattle itself the credit for being like I wouldn't say welcoming, but I would say like accepting kind
Yeah.
of place. You know, people talk about the Seattle freeze and they're not entirely wrong. They're not entirely right either, but they're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, ever since I moved here, I'm like, wow, who is this person that I am? I'm finding out.
I have so many dots that I'm connecting with this chart for you as well. Well, and the first thing I guess I'll see just is that moon now in the second house. It's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of interesting that you're a tax person. I don't know if you were caring as much about finances back home, but literally your day to day has everything to do with your or
How
your
I support
resources,
myself.
your values, things like that. Well, and
Wow.
that's ruled by that 12th house as well. All of those 12th house energies are connected to that second house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then I also wanted to look back at that Leo rising. Leo is ruled by the sun, which is in now your 11th house in Gemini. And that's like very communal. And you're like one of the most community based people that I know. You're very
Mm.
driven to do that in your community, especially again in Seattle. I don't really know what your life was before, but I'm assuming, yeah, that
I really struggled to have community.
in your community and being very Gemini in the sense of a connector and like ideas sharer, and you're just a mercurial person, period.
Yeah.
But even more so in a community setting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also like balancing out that I have this Jupiter on the ascendant, you know, I Saturn, you'll notice, also very angular.
Right on your descendant in that
Like
house.
that's what is that? 6 arc minutes away. And when I think about, okay, so being in the 7th house, it's going to talk about like my relationships. And I do find that here in Seattle, I have found a lot of commitments to people, you know? I think that like we think of like Saturn as like we don't want Saturn to be very active in our lives. We don't want to like have those hardships and obstacles and things, but I think as I've become more of a Jupiter person, I'm also more ready to be a Saturnian person as well, and like meet that like, you know, Saturn's asking like what are we building? And I'm building relationships, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and didn't you also get married in Seattle? Did you meet your your marriage partner in Seattle?
I did not. We met in college on the East Coast.
That would be interesting to look at as
Yeah.
well. But again, seventh house isn't just marriage partners, it's also your clients. And you are, again, someone who works more and more every day with one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
Saturn's a slower moving energy. So maybe the longer you live there, the more that will become apparent to you. But additionally, you had your Saturn return in Seattle, correct? So do you want to speak on how that...
I actually got married during my Saturn return in Seattle.
Because natally, your Saturn's in your 6th house, right? So you now moving into
Seattle. Okay, so this is actually a topic I was hoping we would definitely get into with this, is that I'm not the most practiced with, I don't know who would call themselves the most practiced with relocation charts, but I'm very curious as I go through this and I talk to more and more people about, you know, we look at their natal chart, we look at a relocation chart, and then we talk about transits. And I have a lot, I still feel like the transits are still showing up in the natal chart. Generally. Like there's definitely been like a changed flavor of like the transits showing up in the relocation chart, but truly like I would still say that my Saturn return was a 6th house return because it was a lot of stuff about work, it was a lot of stuff about the body. And then I would say the Pisces transit that we just ended, that was a 7th house transit. For sure. You know, I'm still feeling these transits in my as they show up in my natal chart. I think that kind of clarifies what exactly is a relocation chart and what is it doing. I think it's a lot about how each place asks us to show up. What is each location going to ask of us? Who are we asked to be? And how does that place interact with us?
Yeah. So interesting. So you, just to summarize what you said, you still feel your natal chart being impacted by the transits primarily. And do you feel an underlying current still with your new relocation chart with that? Because again, I would still argue that like you got married during your Saturn return and that's your 7th house in the relocation chart.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That it's relevant still to your chart, but you still very much felt it for your natal as well.
Yeah.
So do you think relocating makes things more complicated or maybe more layered, I guess?
Maybe like blurring the lines of like what is in each house and where is it? It might feel more clear cut if you move farther than I did. You know, it only bops things over one house. And depending on what house system you use, you know, a lot of house systems actually put my natal Saturn in my 5th house.
Oh, right.
So it really, when we start playing with relocation charts, we're like adding a whole nother layer on top of the like which house system works best. So
absolutely. And you're partial to whole sign?
I am. I think that it's like it just feels the most, I mean, maybe it's just because it feels the most true to me and my experiences. I have had a couple clients where whole sign didn't make sense. And once we tried a different house system, we kind of like just tried them on like different hats for a while until it was like, okay, that clarifies.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it clicks. And I think it's interesting that some charts work with certain house systems better.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. Maybe we each have our own understanding of what time and space really is, because that's what a chart is, right? It's just time and space. It's like an image of time and space.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, you spoke on something that I feel like is a great transition into my chart, which is you're asking about like what would happen to a chart if there was a bigger change in location, bigger change in the rising sign, because for you it's only by one sign, but for me what we're going to be talking about is it's a 5-sign difference. We'll start with my birth chart. I can talk a little bit about that. And then when I was in high school, I moved to Switzerland. And so we're going to be also going through a relocation chart for when I was there.
give me just a minute to pull that back open. We've got
Fabulous.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to start with
my natal chart.
Yes.
And I was born in Denver. This is where I'm located now as well. So this is what I'm experiencing for most of my life. And so you can use relocation for where you live, but you also can use relocation charts for if you want to go on vacation.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's like, where will I feel the most, or maybe even a honeymoon. It's like, where are we going to feel the most lovey-dovey or whatever on the trip? Or if you need to do a work trip, like what's going to feel most productive? There's a lot of different ways to use this. Yay, look at my beautiful chart. For those of you who don't know, this last week I turned 30. So yay me. And
Happy
also
birthday.
Thank you. I know, 30, new decade, new hair. We love it. I will accept compliments in the comments. If you'd like to send them my way. I love them. Venus first house vibes. Anyway, but I also just completed my Saturn return at the same time. I feel like, wow. And now Saturn's in my first house. Anyway, we don't need to get into all of that, but this is my natal
But you got a lot going on.
I do have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Well, and I have an eclipse on my Mars this year. I've got a lot of stuff going on. And my solar return was on the day that Saturn conjunct Neptune in Aries at 0 degrees, which is a really big deal. So I'm really excited to see how my year plays out this year ahead. Can I actually ask you a quick question that's not related to this, but I'm just curious? It's a solar return question. And maybe we do another presentation on that sometime. But do you pay attention to the rising sign of the solar return?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always fun to give yourself a little, like, cast the chart for when the sun hits the same exact place. And that's a fun thing to play with locations too, right? Because my solar return chart living in Seattle would be different if I cast my solar return chart living somewhere else.
Right.
And that's a way that we're interacting with our like location, I guess.
Definitely.
Well, but yeah, I totally look at the rising sign.
Cool. I do too. I have a friend who doesn't, which is fine. I'm just like, oh, well, I've always seen it this way. I'm always open to new perspectives because astrology is a language that is not always cut and dry. There's a lot of science to it for sure, but there's also a lot of intuitive energy with that too.
Yeah.
So
that's what happens. We're speaking a symbolic language.
Exactly. Yes. Fabulous. So yeah, just an overall, this is my natal chart. This is where I'm living now, Denver, Colorado. I have an Aries rising, Aries moon, and a Pisces sun. So those are the overall general energies. As you can see here, I'm pretty heavy in the first house, pretty heavy in the 12th house. And I have got some other energies elsewhere too, but those are the main things going on. Is there anything else I need to say about my experience, I guess, in Denver before we move on? Like, what were some things that you had said?
Oh, like how I grew up on the East Coast and I felt very like introverted.
Yeah. I suppose here I definitely feel I'm definitely an extroverted introvert because I'm more introverted, I feel like. A lot of people would probably be confused by that because a lot of people think I'm extroverted, but they don't understand how much alone time I actually need to recharge to be able to show up in an extroverted way. So, and I am Aries, so I'm very much in your face a lot of the time. I don't mind being seen. Like, I love being seen in a certain way, but when I feel overwhelmed or if I feel like people are seeing me in a way that I don't align with, that's when I get really in my Pisces, like, don't perceive me, anyone, please. Like, it's too much. And I'm just such a big feeler with that Pisces energy. And what I've been learning with my time here has been, how do I differentiate myself from others? Because sometimes I'm feeling things that are actually not my emotions. They're other people's emotions, but I take them on as my own because they feel so strong.
Yeah. Well, there's I feel like that's a lot of just like having a lot of 12th house presence.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And with me just completing my Saturn return in Pisces, I feel like that was a big solidifying thing for me of like, okay, how do we find stability and structure in the unstructurable, basically? Like, how do you find structure in the ocean? You can't really, but you can be on a boat, or you can like, you can have some sort of structure on there, or you can go down in a submarine or something, but you're never going to be able to contain the ocean. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So, but now that it's entering my first house, I've really been feeling like, okay, now that I've gone through all that subconscious structuring, how do we actually embody that in my body to the world as well? So, and then also I can relate to you with the Jupiter energy. I have a Jupiter on my angle. Well, close enough anyway. Jupiter on my midheaven in Capricorn. Yeah. And I definitely could relate to what you were saying about like people seeing me as someone who brings that Jupiter energy of educating and sharing gifts and offerings, but also like making sure people like are in line because it's a in Jupiter. It's like, hey, what you're doing is not aligned with what's just. So fix yourself or else you can't be part of the community. Yeah. So that's that story. And I did check. And on my astrocartography, I most definitely am on an ascendant moon line, but even more so a Chiron line, which we don't need to go into Chiron today, but Chiron is a big part of my life with that North Node so close to that. But yeah, I guess I can speak on that anyway. Like, relationships have been my biggest challenge, especially in Denver, where I live.
Yeah.
And where I was born. Cool. Do we want to go to Switzerland now and see what?
Yeah, let's go to Switzerland. I'm also thinking like I really want to, I know it won't change as much, but I'm curious at some point we should pull up your Seattle relocation because I'm like, what version of Bren did I meet?
I would love that. If we have a moment to do that, that would be really cool. I was just thinking that too, because we're going to Switzerland now, but I was a lot younger then. That was over a decade ago. So I'm like, I hope I remember. I'm sure I will. But so in Switzerland here, Lausanne, Switzerland, I'm also a Leo rising like you are in Seattle, and it changes everything by 5 signs pretty significantly.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is nice. I'm getting a little bit out of that 12th house, which is really nice. But something that was
you did a lot of performing here.
Yes, performance was a really big aspect of my experience out there. It was a Swiss boarding school in which I was only able to attend because my parents worked there. So I got a free ride. So I kind of felt like not alienated necessarily, but I wasn't like I felt like I wasn't like a lot of the other kids. So I really gravitated to the other scholarship kids. And so I was very much like high achieving academically, which speaks to that 9th house concentration. And also I was literally living abroad. And so I traveled way more than I ever have here. So that 9th house concentration makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
And
well,
also
I'm also thinking about like having Chiron in the 3rd house. I know you were just like, we're not going to talk about Chiron too much. But like having Chiron move to the 3rd house of like you're in a boarding school that puts all of your peers as third house characters in my mind, right? They're the people that live around you, and sort of feeling like out of place with those people.
Yeah.
That's just immediately what I look at in this chart.
I love that. Well, and that's all in opposition to what I was just speaking on with like the higher education. When I was, I entered this the IB program, International Baccalaureate program, which was a lot more challenging than what education I was receiving before, because I was in art school, which I love art school. That's great. But academically, this was a huge step up. So I struggled actually as well with the education system there, because I was like, wow, I really have to, I'm capable of this, but I need to try a lot harder. And I also felt like I was best friends with the valedictorian, and I felt like a little alienated from her as well, just because I'm like, dang, she's doing really well. And I wasn't doing poorly, but like comparing myself to a straight A student when I was like getting B's, you know, which still is really good, but
yeah,
but
hard.
Yeah, especially, yeah. So that's so interesting to see this chart. And that would also move my Jupiter in the 6th house.
Yeah, I've been looking at that. I'm wondering what that's about for you.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny. I don't know if this is, it might be an example, but I actually gained a lot of weight there. I know that's more of a first house thing, but it is my health. And so just more like day-to-day responsibilities. Also, I had to like, to get to school, I had to like take a train and stuff. Like it was very regimented. It was a boarding school. So like the structure that I had before wasn't as like cut and dry as I feel like it was in Switzerland
Interesting.
for routines.
Yeah.
But also there's Neptune there. So maybe I'm just like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But what else?
Wow, I feel like I'm just now appreciating the concept of having Jupiter and Neptune co-present in a chart.
Yeah, tell me more about that.
I just sort of like feeling into like what would those two archetypes playing together feel like? And Jupiter being like, Jupiter's just like make it big, make it big, make it big, whatever it is, make it really big. And the idea of making the confusion really big. I love the like make the fantasies really big, make the dreams really big. But like the Capricorn kind of fantasies, make the Capricorn fantasies really big.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, I do have very big Capricorn fantasies. Like the biggest dream that I have is to be a benefactor for people. Like I want to be making or having enough resources, I should say, because who cares about money in a way? But I do care about money a lot, actually. But yeah, no, like serving people through my idealization of what people should be getting and like how to make things more equitable and more balanced with resources. And so all of my Jupiter or all of my my Piscean planets, you know, Jupiter and Neptune are in Capricorn. And then my Capricorn's in Pisces, or my, you know, Saturn's in Pisces, which is the ruler of Capricorn. So basically in my chart, no matter where I am, is very much like you can't separate my Pisces from my Capricorn nature. They're both very
that like Jupiter Saturn mutual resonance is like a really strong signature here.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
I do feel like a big drive to help people, and like I feel a big responsibility, I should say, in this lifetime to like show up and work hard to make things better and to educate, you know, that's what we're doing here. That's very Jupiter, and also just whimsical, like like Pisces too. And like, yeah, we can also take it chill pill. Like you and I planned this kind of last minute, but I kind of always trust that it's going to be what it needs to be.
Yeah.
So there's structure again, and also flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for this relocation chart, like, seeing, I think you would show up as being like on a Mercury line in this place.
Ooh.
You
Yeah.
know,
With the
I see it
descendant.
there with the descendant.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
I guess, yeah, I guess that is like kind of interesting that you were there to go to school, right? And Mercury, I think about like being a, or maybe I just give this to Mercury because I'm very mercurial, but am a lifelong student. But I
Yeah.
definitely give like being a student to Mercury in a lot of ways. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And additionally, like I was meeting, like Mercury is in the 7th house here, which is other people, but it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is all about like diverse, different people, like weirdos, people that I've never seen before, like people that were different from where I come from. So that was like a perfect mirror for me. It's like, wow, how I've been almost sheltered in a lot of ways by staying in the US because I had never left the country before I moved. So like to then be exposed to all these different kinds of people, that definitely opened up my world. Also that Mercury ruling my 11th house in this chart of Gemini and my the 2nd house of Virgo. And I will also say that I gained a lot of, well, I had more resources at this time because I was able to travel more. My parents were making more money there than when they weren't. So I just had more opportunity. And also I had rich people around me all the time that would just like give me stuff, you know? Like I remember my favorite thing at boarding school was when people like the school year was ending and all of these like rich kids from like oil kids, like Saudi kids and like just rich, like princes and princesses, like crazy rich people. They would just leave behind like all of their designer clothes and all that stuff. I know. And so I would get to go through all their designer clothes and see
oh my God.
for myself. Yeah. So again, I was very well resourced, even though like I wasn't necessarily working or anything besides school, but that was a perk. And additionally, I just really love that the IC and the MC are not in my 10th and 4th house like they are in my natal chart. Like you, it's in the 3rd and the 9th house. And education was my #1 priority there. So like learning, my immediate community, and traveling and expanding my mind, those are very 3rd and 9th house things. And that's how people saw me. Yeah. So fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying learning about this. I don't know if you have a quick chance to look up, yeah, my chart, my relocated chart.
Oh, for Seattle. Let's find out.
Yeah, I would love to see. I like how you kept the location on this one.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I remembered which one was which.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
so
so
interesting. Now I'm gonna have to, now that I know more that you've taught me today, I need to look at all the places I've been. Because there's certain places I like being more. Like I loved being in Greece. I'm like, I don't know why I love being in Greece, but I just did. As opposed to other vacation spots where I was like, meh.
oh wow. Cool. Your
Rising?
your rising does change. I was
Thanks.
wondering if it was just gonna be, you know, just earlier in Aries because, you know, I mean, I came all the way from the East Coast and it only changed by one sign.
Oh yeah, that's pretty far.
So I wasn't sure, like, were we gonna see a lot of difference here?
What's
Um,
the rising for Seattle?
it is Pisces.
Pisces. That would make sense. I was like, it's either Pisces or Taurus. But Pisces rising. Well, and that would put my sun in my 1st house, my Saturn and my Mars. Did I say that? Mars, Saturn, Sun. Yeah, all in my 1st house.
All right. Let me. Sorry, this is taking a minute, but
Okay. And if, yeah,
here we go.
it says we're still on Les Sun.
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. There it is.
Perfect. So this is the chart of my relocation to Seattle, where I met ALANNA.
This is the Bren that I met in
Mm-hmm.
person. Yes. Wow, look at that. Mars right on the ascendant.
Oh, wow.
Like right there.
Wow. Well, how do you
Incredible.
interpret that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I remember feeling like you were just this like ball of energy. Like you were just ready to go. You were like, I did this today and this and this and this and this and this. I talked to this person, this person, this person. Let's go talk to that person. Let's go over here. Let's go over there. Okay, time to go this. Can I go there? Okay, we're literally. I was like, yes, I need this energy. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I need that energy too. I'm so glad that I
Yeah.
see it that way. Because it's so different from a 12th house Mars.
Yeah.
Especially a Pisces Mars. It's just very much like, if I have the energy, I'm going to go. But also, if I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
It's very much, I'm at the whim of Pisces, whatever the vibe, you know?
The whimsical Mars.
Yes. Very
Is
whimsical.
there a more whimsical Mars?
How can you get more whimsical than Pisces?
Well, I think maybe the mutable signs in general, not Virgo.
It's so funny. I love Virgos so much. I feel like Virgos understand me deeply, but then also there are certain Virgos that I meet that are like, you understand me so good, but also you can't access what I like. There's like a barrier sometimes, like very rigid Virgos. I feel like they're too earthbound sometimes. And I'm like, think bigger. You're almost there. You're there actually, but for some
Well,
reason,
you can't tell the like materially oriented mercurial who's got a magnifying glass on everything and is like making spreadsheets and making up like research like think bigger. No, you are
yeah,
gonna miss all of the important stuff in the details if you think bigger. Like get it together.
that's valid. And that's why I need Virgos, because sometimes I can go into the details are great, but I'm also very much a big picture person. Like that's even astrology. Like we are so different, I feel like, in our astrologies, and I am with my other Virgo friends, because I'm more like intuitive when I do my readings. It's like I don't really need to know like what I just need to know the general vibe of things to get messages, but I don't need to know like exactly all of the details to get the messages that are needed, you know?
Yeah. In the eagle or lark, you're like all lark.
Yeah.
And I'm learning how to be more lark. I think something that I mean, honestly, I think this is just a coincidence of process. But I wonder if the reason I'm really liking doing these relocation charts with my clients is that I'm not doing the research about them beforehand. I'm just pulling the chart as it comes up in conversation. And so it's the first time I see it.
Yeah.
And so then I have to very intuitively read it and feel into what's important. And I think that's just kind of my signal to be like, okay, ALANNA, be more lark, you know?
And we all want a balance. Sometimes we need to zoom in and sometimes we need to zoom out.
Yeah.
There's benefits for both.
Very true.
But I really like for this Seattle chart, my Jupiter is also in the 11th. And I definitely felt very community oriented, hopes and dreams. I was very inspired by people who were those Capricorn people, like Samuel Reynolds, for example. Like he inspired me so much because I was on diversity scholarship there. And he had told all of us, we had like a breakfast together. He was just like, this is an investment that we're making in you because we need more diversity in astrology, and we want you to show up in your communities and educate not only yourselves but the community at large. And that just very much struck me as like, yes, that's that Capricorn driven energy, but also in that Jupiterian education and giving generous way. And that was ruling my first house, Pisces, in this chart.
Yeah.
I felt very much that was me. I am my goal. I am my dream. I am my community.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Oh, I love that a lot.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, having this mix of like having both Mars and Saturn in Pisces in the first house, just showing up as this full ball of energy, but also like I remember that first evening at Norwalk, you sat down at the table next to me and you were like, okay, pick a card with your tricky little, these are my business cards, but like we're gonna read them, you
Mm-hmm.
know, which I still have, by the way.
Oh yeah, I want to know which one. Ooh, an answer card number
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. You like immediately just like kind of read me for filth and like told me exactly things that I needed to hear in that moment. And so it wasn't just that you were just like full of energy. It's like you had the stuff to back it up.
Yeah.
You know, that is entirely my first impression of you.
Oh,
So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I love that like perspective with Saturn and Mars too. Because they're far away in my chart, but they're in sign conjunction, I guess.
yeah. I mean, when
And
they're
they're in each other's decans.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me think of like there's two people sitting in the same living room and like one of them took the other one's favorite chair, so they took the other one's favorite. They're like sitting in each other's favorite chairs.
Yeah.
I like to think of like when they're in the same sign, they're in the same room.
Yeah.
And you can be at the opposite end of the room as someone else, but like there being another person in that room is like it changes the energy, you know?
Definitely.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, that's amazing. I really appreciate your insights on relocation astrology. I'm super excited to look more into it, and I hope that our viewers are also eager to look up their relocation charts. I'm sure that you could probably do this on astro.com or other free
Yeah.
websites. So if you guys have any questions about where to find how you can do this, please leave a comment. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at fortuneofthefool.com. And Alanna, how can people reach you?
Yeah, through my website at sacredshadowastrology.com.
Fabulous. And these will be listed in the show notes, so you can just go check that out. And before we close out, is there anything additional that you'd like to share with us, Alanna?
No, I don't think so. I've been I've just been sitting with all that Saturn Neptune energy the last few days and kind of wondering where that'll take us in the next 36 years. And this Virgo's been trying to zoom out and see the big picture. And yeah, I wonder if anybody has thoughts on where this Saturn Neptune cycle takes us.
Can I say something though? My favorite part of it, first
Yeah.
of all, I'm very optimistic about it. I think that
Okay.
dissolving certain structures is really important. And I think that's what we're kind of doing is like, how do we dissolve structures while at the same time building them?
Yeah.
That's the very much like Saturn Neptune relationship, how I'm seeing it anyway. But my favorite person who's come out of this conjunction is Alyssa Liu. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She is the figure skater that won at the Winter Olympics. She won gold, and like her performance, like I'm already getting chills. Like I think what's really beautiful about her story with this is that she left the system originally because it was too much pressure. She didn't like it. She didn't like how rigorous it was. But when she re-entered ice skating, she really did it for her and on her terms. And I think that's so much Aries with this conjunction because it's like you can thrive and you can be a winner if you enjoy it and if you're just like doing it for the Aries fun of it.
If you're doing it like authentically, because I think about
Yeah.
Aries and I think about authenticity for sure.
Yeah. And it was just so dreamy that Neptune, I was like everyone is just like, that is magic on ice.
Yeah.
Like true magic and her joy and also her uniqueness. She's an alt kind of like alternative looking person. And I think that in a sport that is very traditionally like prim and proper in a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to reclaim it myself, and I'm going to do it myself. And she also criticized the American administration as well, the government, which I think is a really powerful moment too, about like standing up for your values.
Mm-hmm.
And I did attend a talk recently about this conjunction too, which just kind of warned about like spiritual idealism encouraging violence of some kind, which you know, but you know, if you're true to your authentic self and like authentic values and things like that, fighting for what you believe in or saying your truth is going to build the structures that I think are really necessary in this time.
Yeah. Sounds like you were listening to an Austin Coppock lecture, because
No, actually,
he's been on that spiritual warrior list
I'm sure.
for a while. So
I'm sure I would love to listen to him again, but right now is not the vibe for me. I think he's a little too pessimistic for me. I need more optimism. Okay. I'm here to live migrations. I want to be realistic for sure, but also I think there's a lot of fear mongering in certain people that I just don't believe is a promise. We're all in this new energy. No one knows how it's going to end up. I love that people have perspectives and their thoughts, but all of the negativity and stuff I don't think is helpful. Again, I agree with realism and I think people should share their ideas, all that stuff, but also we can't give up. I just feel like the most powerful thing right now is hope.
Yeah.
And I don't want to surrender my hope for more realism. I'd rather honestly be a little delusional for me.
Yeah.
Just I see so much negativity, especially online and in spaces that I don't even know if they're real. Like again, online, is it AI? Are they bots? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we all need to be really careful about that. I have quite a few people who have contacted me and asked, like, is it like, and this has been happening ever since I started, very like publicly being an astrologer. I've had people approach me and be like, well, is this really this bad? I heard this on TikTok. I heard this on Instagram. Like, people said this and this and this, like, and it's really negative, scary things. And so if I'm going to end the show today saying anything, it's that if someone is scaring you with astrology, you need to unfollow that person. That's not what you need.
Yeah.
And that's not the purpose of astrology. And I will stand by that statement. And I'll fight about it.
And you can be aware of challenges, and there are, there is value in being realistic about astrology. It's not all rainbows and kittens, but it is, we can use these energies. It's just not, we can use these energies for as opportunities rather than to be victims of them.
Yes. When we forget that every single placement has something good and bad, and when we say it's all gonna be bad, or all gonna be good, I think that's not helping anybody.
No.
And I don't think it's realistic.
No. That goes full circle to what we were talking about before we even got on this call, which was how certain planets that are in detriment can actually be superpowers.
Yeah.
So a great takeaway is know your astrological chart, know yourself, because then you can be more conscious about your choices rather than just succumbing to whatever is in the air, or whatever the transits are, because there's certain things that are fated or, that are out of your control, but you have free will, and you have more free will the more conscious you are. So work on your consciousness, work on that 12th house, understanding that 12th house, and you will have more free will. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it like, you're trying to go surfing. If you don't look backwards to see where the waves are, like, you're not going to catch the waves very easily. So that's all astrology should be, is like, let's see when the wave is coming.
And
we don't have to make it doom and gloom. So
absolutely.
So unfollow the doom and gloom. That's my big take.
And a lot of people profit off that too. So just also know, like, not only is money or like resources, but your attention. We're in an attention economy right now, friends. So remember that your attention and what you're giving your energy to, whether it's in your mind or what you're saying, that is valuable. That is money in a way. So don't be spending your energetic money on things that you shouldn't. Be realistic, be active, definitely address the issues in the world. I'm not saying be so toxically positive that you ignore all that stuff, because there's a balance, but stay alive, stay hopeful, and stay progressive.
I like it.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, both you, ALANNA, and anyone watching. We would love to hear from you as our community. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach us. All right. Bye, friends.
Thanks for having me, Bren.
You too.
Bye.